I thought it would be neat to do a quick demo video of my mt32pi, and I'm using my wife's camera gimbal thingy, so I have no idea how to use this. But quick and dirty, the mt32pi is a Raspberry Pi based emulator of the MT32 music system that was very popular on DOS and other old computer systems. I've got it hooked up to my computer using a Pico Gus, which is basically a Gravis Ultrasound emulator ISA card, which is basically acting as a hard MP right now to make it work. But most people, and understandably why, it is hard to position this correctly, use the MT32Pi on their Mr. FPGA, which makes perfect sense. They've got some nice form factors for it. It fits into it well. You can do your AO486. I, however, am a contrarian. As you can see, I've got the hat that allows me to use it as originally intended. If I read the manual, this gimbal would be amazing. Which allows me to hook it up directly through a MIDI port. So let's go ahead and show off some of its features here. It's going to default to MT32 mode, the way I have it configured. So, typing with one hand here, I'm going to demonstrate what is basically an underrated DOS demonstration game for the MT32. In this case, you're doing Gods, which I always assumed this would be best on the Amiga, but in CM32 mode, the device has sound effects, which it uses in-game. I'm going to turn this up. These Altec Lansing speakers, $2 at Goodwill. Best speakers I have. Okay, my controllers are going to look terrible, but... personally, I would say this is better than the Amiga version with an MT32, specifically a CM32 version, because you get, remember I'm playing with one hand, so that's why I suck. In-game music with sound effects, and the sound effects are using what's on the system. So, the MT32 is, however, not limited to functioning. The MT32Pi is not limited to functioning as an MT32. You've got a number of buttons on it here. There we go. The gimbal has gone crazy. There's the one inauthentic thing I have from my old computer. I bought a white mouse, Logitech 3 button. Now it's up. You guys might have seen me now. There we go. But you've got some buttons built into it here. The Pico Gus is some of the data info showing what card it's running off of. However, you can actually, it's running MUNT in hardware mode, basically bare hardware type emulation for the MT32, but it's also, if you hit some buttons here, you can switch into sound font mode, in which it's going to run fluid synth, and you now have a general MIDI device. So I'm going to go through, you can choose which sound fonts you want to use. I downloaded a couple SC55 clones. So I'll give this one time. Okay, that one's already selected and already present in memory, so it should just work. So it's now acting like a general MIDI device. So, and you've probably noticed, despite having an MT32, I have not. We'll do Doom 1. Everyone knows the music from it slightly better. You notice, despite having an MT32, I have not demonstrated Monkey Island. I'm not going to do that. Everyone does that. And there we go. That is fluid synth running off of the mt32pi. Once again, one hand, can't even get to the mouse, so we're gonna die a lot. Okay. I want to demonstrate one other thing on it. Interesting thing, so we're gonna switch back to, oh boy, the gimbal's crazy again. Aha! Maybe. Can we hint it? Here we go. Okay. Yeah, it didn't like being touched. It's like my older cat. So we're going back into MT32 mode. Now, once you're into MT32 mode, you can actually switch between different ROM sets if you have them loaded up here. So I'm going to stay in CM32 LAPC mode. And what's neat is there are actually some games if anybody wants to... Well, now sideways. This video is going to be called Brief MT32 and I Don't Know How to Use a Gimbal Demonstration. Some games actually support both devices, so you can kind of play around and see which one sounds better based on your implementation. Alright, so we'll go to... And it kind of feels like SimCity 2000, despite supporting the potentially superior general MIDI standard, was designed with the MT32 in mind. And actually sounds better on there, I think. So let's go ahead and launch it. Heard a little cutting out there. I do need to retweak it. I had to redo my memory card, but you'll see on... There we go. Whoop, maybe. Yep. And there we go. I don't know what I'm doing. You'll see on there are some unpopulated headers. Instead of buttons, you can actually use rotary controls for some of the functions on here. But I was getting some clipping on the sound here because I'm passing audio from the MT32pi into my Sound Blaster and then out to the speakers. So if you just usually set your volume down sufficiently, that will clear up any clipping issues you're getting on the sound as it comes through. I hope I don't have to do a lot of editing on this afterwards, but we're gonna quit real quick. And we are going to switch to general MIDI mode just to show that this kind of works. And there's so many other cool tricks I could show on this as far as different games with their MIDI support and whatnot. And you want to make sure, because if you try to send general MIDI data to an MT32, it will work, but it will sound extremely wrong. So you want to make sure you switch to your sound font mode before you try doing your general MIDI. Now, I mean, they both sound really good. But I think the MT32 might have been where the music was developed. But Maxis was firing on all cylinders back then, so it definitely wasn't half-assed at any point. There's so many more games I would show, but not a lot of time for that. Other ones that work really well with the MT32 that I've been playing with, Ultima Underworld, will use it for sound effects. So you get your music and sound effects through the MT32. X-Wing, there's some... MT32 is the preferred device for it if you use the correct version some way. I don't know. I think Mr. Walrus in the Mr. community can tell you more about that. But, all right, that was just a quick and dirty demo of the MT32pi running on a 486, which it seems like nobody actually does nowadays. And I might do a more professional demonstration of it when I'm not doing it on a whim in my house in the middle of an ice storm because I'm bored. All right, thank you.